Bubblegum Simulator Infinity, the biggest simulator game to release this year on Roblox. The game has been a hot topic since day one of its release, mainly because this is the official sequel to Bubblegum Simulator, which has been known as one of the biggest early Roblox simulators. The sequel was getting over 300,000 players just 2 months ago, but now is sitting at 25,000. People obviously were very hyped waiting for it to come out, but now are disappointed because of how the game turned out so far. Honestly, I would be surprised if you haven't heard about this game somehow. Over 13 million different users have gotten the welcome badge, and as I already showed earlier, the game even had over 300,000 of concurrent players at one point. Even in the first days, when there has been barely any bots, the game was getting more players very quickly. We're talking about tens of thousands. But it didn't manage to keep those players for much longer, and now, not even 3 months since release, the game ended up losing over 90% of its peak concurrent player count. And despite it having way less players now, if you were to check the servers, you will still find a ton of bots, implementing that the game most likely has 10,000s of real players at most. Obviously, 20,000 of players is a lot. Even 1,000 players is a lot if you think about it. But what really matters is the context of the player count. Basically how the game's player count looked like a few months ago as example. So when the trailer came out on the 5th of April, it got quite a bit of positive feedback from the community. You even had multiple content creators leaving positive comments about trailer and the game. About a week later, on the 11th of April, the game would release and instantly get tens of thousands of people playing it, showing how hyped everyone have been. And as I showed earlier, the game was getting more players every day, quickly getting to 100,000 players, and quickly after that, even getting to 200,000 and 300,000 players. The highest concurrent player count it ever had is 380,000, by the way. And with this context, 23,000 players do look really bad since it hasn't even been that long. And I did mention bots. It's really not a surprise this game has many bots, but that doesn't mean real people don't play it, right? The early days of the game actually show the real player count, because bot farmers just didn't have the automated exploits yet for this specific game. And I'm 100% sure out of 380,000 players, at least 150,000 had to be real. So that means the game not only went down by a lot in the analytics, but over 90% of real players had to quit as well. If it had 150,000 real players before, now it most likely doesn't even have 10,000. Even the empty servers are filled with bots. That's how bad it is. And with more people quitting the game, content creators started to quit too. The videos just simply were getting less views very quickly after just about a month. But why did so many people quit so quickly? Well, as someone who have been playing for a while, or, well, I guess if you call this playing, then I did play a lot for background noise. Anyway, I've been playing this game since day one, and people quitting this game is really not a surprise when you consider some things, which I will explain in a way for you to understand even if you quit the game already. I think it's worth starting with one of the main points, the communication between community and developers. At first, it has actually been great. People loved seeing developers interact with the community. It's not just about making announcements to prepare players for something, or let the players know about something, but there even were polls made both on Discord and even on Twitter to make players decide what they want more. And this communication continued for slightly more than a month, until they just stopped posting anything, but rarely some changes and update announcements. And stopping to communicate like this obviously made people not happy to say the least. The community basically lost the connection with developers, you could say. There is basically no information about updates, so people have no idea on when to expect an update and what to expect in the update. The only communication there is right now is a few messages in one of the channels in the official Discord server. Problem is, most of the players will never see this, unlike the announcements they made before. People have been asking to put information into announcement channel. Even their own staff member was asking about it, but as you could guess, nothing came out of it. And since I already mentioned updates, I think it's worth talking about them too. Bubblegum Simulator Infinity is kind of known for the constant update delays. Like for example, Update 2 released on a Saturday instead of Friday, and Update 3 had to be delayed by 2 hours. Going of some recent ones, Update 8, instead of releasing on a Saturday as usual, updated all the way on a Tuesday, or 2.5 days late. And since this was the only communication between community and developers, people just had no idea when and what to expect anymore, thinking Update might have been moved to the next week. And sure, they may not be a very big team, but they did hire 2 new developers. And in total, there is 6 developers working on the game now, not a very small team anymore, I'd say. And now I think it's time to get to the actual content inside the game, which is the gameplay. You know what was good about Bubblegum Simulator Infinity on the release days? Things were actually rare and valuable. Everyone would hunt for every single high-tier potion, especially Infinity Elixirs, since it was very rare and very strong. And despite Rumble Studios actually trying to keep them rare by making them harder when it was needed, it seems like they have failed. The minigame world made rare potions much easier because of minigames and the board itself. But later on, we also had Summer Event with its own merchant, which would sell many rare potions really cheap. And because of that, in my case, I went from this inventory to this in a span of about 2 months. The problem isn't just that rare items aren't rare anymore, but they just make boosts less special. One of the things I think made this game better are rifts, these small islands that would have both eggs and chests on them. Everyone would hunt for the best rifts since they could give up to 25 multiply luck. But later on, Rumble Studios for some reason stopped adding rifts for event eggs, so people sort of forgot about them. And now, even if those rifts would return, due to high-tier potions being much easier to get, rift boosts won't feel any special anymore. And since high-tier potions are so common, things like the Gem Genie quests aren't used at all now. It's just not worth the time anymore. There also is a thing called Mastery, which haven't been updated since Update 3 or something like that. The fun part of the game used to be that you actually would go around and do something, and you would care about every rare item you get. Now, there is really no point in doing anything other than hatch unless you trade, of course. So back to updates. Remember how I talked about delays? Well, that's not the only problem. The updates overall just became more repetitive. This update is the one that was delayed by 2.5 days, yet it barely added anything new. And obviously, people weren't a fan of this big of a delay for such a small update. But the next update, which currently is the latest one, would be much worse. This update added an egg that will very rarely spawn, a quest, and a new thing called Bubble Shrine. What's the problem? The only new egg has a 1 in 10,000 chance to spawn, and you only get 10 minutes to find it like any other rift. Not even 100 secret pets from that egg have been hatched in an entire week, while a secret pet from same update with some crazy odds has more than double the total hatches. The quest they added just makes you AFK for 2 hours, and Bubble Shrine is the only good thing, since you can donate useless items for an extra boost. And look what update number 8 said about the Void Crystal Egg. Now look what update 9 says about it. They kept the egg for another week despite saying it will be gone. People who owned secret pets from that egg were not happy, I can tell you that. There are also things that will make the gameplay feel a bit worse, mainly talking about bugs. You have a pet that never got its model back. There is also a thing where, if you stay hatching for too long, your memory usage will skyrocket. I once had 6 gigabytes of memory after hatching for like 7 hours only, and this has never been fixed since release. It only caused a lot of lag for me, but some might even experience a crash. Also, summer pets used to have event currency, but when it turned into coins, the stats looked horrible even on a secret pet because it just wasn't adjusted at all. Things like this make a game feel worse, especially if you have this bad memory leak problem in a game that is about AFK hatching for hours. I myself, probably just like many others, were hoping to see this game to not follow the same path as Mining Simulator 2 and Pet Catchers. Both of those games were fun at first, but quickly got boring for players. You can see how Mining Simulator 2 concurrent player graph looks like, with many players at first, but then, within months, losing most of them. And going back to pet catchers, we're seeing the same picture where many play at first, but then within months, leave the game. And we're seeing the exact same thing happen with Bubblegum Simulator Infinity now. All three games turned more and more into AFK hatching games, with no actual fun gameplay to them. Bubblegum Simulator Infinity needs more of actual gameplay, while also having more communication with the community, similar to how it was in the first weeks of the game. But seeing how this game has been making the same mistakes as the past two games from Rumble Studios, it's really not a surprise as to why everyone is disappointed in this game. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how this goes. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would really appreciate it. You can watch one of these videos while waiting for a new one. They are good too. Join my Discord server. You can chat with me and other members. The link is in description, and I will see you soon.